Here are some tips and tricks when it comes to organizing your Google Classroom learning management system. And so, with organization in Google Classroom, the first thing you want to do is it's good when you have a personalized learning, a tracking system for your students. And I like to put this tracking system under the classroom resources. Now, a tracking system can look multiple different ways. You can have it set up so that it is kind of a spreadsheet looking resource for your students where they can have different drop downs and symbols like that, and they can drop down where they are. Another thing that you could use is Pear Deck. You could set up a Pear Deck where students are moving their little draggable dot on your game board. So, depending on what type of blended learning you are creating, I would just suggest having some type of tracking system in your Google Classroom. And I would put this under the resource tab where students can quickly find it. I also like to do a today's update where students can find the activities for the day. And so if they click right here, they can see really quickly that today they need to get to number 10 on their roadmap game board, or whatever activity you want to add. There's some can do activities. So if they finish early, they know exactly what to do. If I need to have a mini lesson, I can add that right here. And then if there's any clarification, I can add that as well. And again, I just like to put it in there so that students can quickly kind of see. Here's another example of tracking with Google or Pear Deck, where students can drag their little dot to show where they're at. And you might want to also just put your syllabus or some Google tips and tips, or if the students struggle with tech, you could put your anchor chart or whatever. You can also create a classroom tour of using different photos or a video or a welcome video for your students. So creating that classroom resource tab can really help your students. The next thing you want to think about is organizing your classroom. How do you want to organize it? You can organize it by units or modules. So right here, you can see we have Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. So again, you can totally organize it that way. You can organize it by week. So here's everything for the week. I've also seen teachers organize it by assignments. You can organize it by subject area. This is probably better for elementary type teachers if you are self-contained. And then organizing it by adding like a today's topic. And then once the students complete those today activities, you can move them to another area. Then you want to think about clear naming patterns. And when it comes to naming, it's always good to start with a number and using very clear activities. So like tuck, vocabulary quiz. If you teach your students how to use control or command on a Mac to use control plus F, they can quickly search files. So you'll see this pop up, and then students can search this little hashtag or F, and they can see that F comes up 46 times. And they can use these little arrows to quickly find all of the different Fs in this document. And so in Google Classroom, it will work the exact same way. Students can type in the number and it should pop up. They can type in a keyword and it will just have them find your material a lot faster than if they just try to find it on their own. So teaching them that trick, it also works on web pages. So they can quickly find keywords on web pages as well. Another idea is using emojis. So when it comes to emojis, you can add these fun little emojis to your classroom, and maybe you have a key. Whenever I have the books, it means we're reading something. Whenever I use the popcorn, it's time to watch a video. Whenever I use this little emoji face, the thinking face, it's time to reflect. So again, just adding those emojis can just add some extra flair. It can add some visuals into your Google Classroom as well. You can do this by going to emojipedia.com. It's a website that has all kinds of emojis and you can search for them. You can also do it with your keyboard shortcut. So if you're on a Mac, Control Command Spacebar will open up this emoji keyboard as well. You can also get to it by insert, special characters, and then you can drop down and you can go into emojis. So lots of different ways to get to emojis, but it just adds some extra activities onto your Google Classroom. And then your stream. What I like to do is I like to turn off the stream. So if you go into your settings on Google Classroom, you are able to turn off your stream. This can really help your students focus in on using the stream as like a place for teacher announcements, and they can comment on it. So right here in the settings, I can hit it and I can hide it. Also with the stream, I like to make it so students can only comment. So I like to change that as well. So again, if I'm going to Google Classroom, once I'm in my Google Classroom, we can go to my example class, settings, scroll down, and right here, I can hide my notifications and I can have where students can only comment. And then I can save this and it's going to clear up my stream. When I post an assignment, my students will only be able to see my announcements. And then right here is where I can start to keep my organization of my Google Classroom. Another tip is teaching your students to mark as done. So right here is the mark as done button, and students need to click that once they turn in their assignments. The reason for this is because you can start working with students on time management. There is a to-do area in Google Classroom. So if I go back to my classes, I can click this right here, to do, and it's going to post all of my classes that I have. I can look by assigned, missing, and done. You also want to add due dates, because if you can see, all of these assignments have a due date, and it lets me know, okay, I need to get this done first, second, or third, and I'm able to quickly kind of see when I need to get these different assignments done. Students can also search by different classes as well. So again, adding a due date can help your students, and telling them and teaching them how to mark as done can really help as well too. Then when it comes to accessing material, we want them to access it independently. So there's a couple different things we can do. We can have a routine, getting students into a routine. Every start of the class, we go to Google Classroom. Every middle of class, whenever you want to start creating that routine, getting them in it as much as possible. The next thing is practice finding material. So getting students in and having them just practice finding the different material that they're going to need. Maybe you create a scavenger hunt. I've seen a lot of teachers do that for day one. Another idea is using Fast and Curious. I did this with a group of students and it worked really well. What happens is on here, you get into Google Classroom every single day. And let's say on the first day, it took this class 7 minutes. So I write 7 minutes. On day 2, it took them 5 minutes. We're seeing the time go down, and our goal is to beat our time and to get it better. So sometimes I'll put this into Google Classroom and I'll tell the students they have to find this document as quickly as they can, and then they self-track their own, and I use the count up timer, and what I do is I track as a class. And so as a class, we can see how we're doing and what improvements we might need to make to get into our Google Classroom a lot faster. And again, they're looking for this document to add their own score into the day that we are at. So just getting them in, making it a game can be a lot of fun for your students. Another idea is creating a screencast. I like to use Screencastify, but you can use WeVideo, Loom, and then you're going to record the directions, record a welcoming video, record a video of how students get into your Google Classroom. You can make it also parent facing as well, and showing that the parents need to sit with their child, the child needs to walk the student through, but this is how it's organized. So again, just recording with explaining directions can even help too. Include your video in your video. So making it personal, there's a lot of research on this, that if we include our little face in our video, you can minimize it really quickly, but just a real quick good morning type of shot with your video in it can add just that personal touch. Using the toolbox. So in most video programs, they have like tools where you can draw and you can direct attention to different things. You can also change, you can add stickers, you can add a different mouse. So maybe I want it to be like the focus in mouse. So I can really show where I'm clicking and where I'm hovering at for students to quickly see. Another thing is, once you're done, you're going to upload that video. So you're either going to upload it from Google Drive, or you might upload it by using YouTube. I like to use YouTube because there's a lot of accessibility. So again, go ahead and create your screencast, upload it, and you are going to explain to your students that video. The next thing is that this is just a time saver tip. You can clone your course. So what I like to do is I like to make a template course, and this course might have that resource page. It might have a couple topics, and it's going to have some emojis in it. Okay, so again, I'm going to create that template course, and if I teach 7 courses, I'm going to copy it 7 times. So I don't need to go in 7 times and add that syllabus. It's there. I can just copy it. Just know that it will open up as a draft. So I'll need to go in and assign it, but at least I don't have to attach it again. You can also use a course that you taught previously. And again, all of your assignments will be drafts, so they can't see drafts. And then when you're ready, you can push out those assignments. So if you think your Google Classroom setup was really good last year, or you want to make some edits, you can reuse what you had and then just update to fit this year's classroom. Okay, so again, your goal for this assignment is to create a student overview video. You're going to create and organize your Google Classroom, and you're going to go through, you're going to create your tracking system, you're going to create your organization, naming protocols, you're going to get that stream organized, you're going to teach students how to mark as done, and then you are going to create your screencast. Your screencast is going to include that student facing how they access the materials for your classroom.